We're live.
We're back.
Back to talk about more Robert Greene's 33 Strategies of War. This chapter is Weave. It's chapter 23, and it's Weave a seamless blend of fact and fiction. This is about the misperception strategies. Earlier today, somebody was asking us, what is this? What is today's podcast about? This podcast is all about deception and plain dirty.
Yeah. The unconventional dirty warfare.
Now, there's a very famous quote that you always say all the time. Guerra avisada no mata soldado. Which is the... How would you translate that? Like the soldier that is aware
that the war is coming is less likely to die in it.
Right. Or the type of war, the type of the way that people play. You're able to prepare for that. In soccer in high school, I remember there were some teams that you just knew they played dirty. So whenever we went up against them, we couldn't play the normal game that we played, because you know that these guys are they're gonna step on you, they're gonna hit you, elbow you when the ref's not looking during a play. So according to Robert Greene, you fight fire with fire.
Right. Yeah,
So-
you're not at the same level field, so they're playing dirty, they have an advantage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to either stop the game, get out of the game, or if you stay in the game, then you gotta adjust to the enemy. He's playing dirty.
He's not playing by the same set of rules that
Right.
you are.
Right. It's difficult to win when you're playing ethically and the guy you're playing with is doing everything they can to cheat on you.
Yeah.
And by the way, that goes on in life, in business, in relationships, in marriage, in family stuff, and all over the place. So you just have to analyze the field and see where you're at. The other thing that this chapter says is that surprising the enemy is by far the greatest advantage that you have. So you flank them depending on how you're fighting them. So absolutely. But yeah, if you're not playing, it's like sitting down and have a chess game. We're both going to play as fair as we possibly can and let the best man or woman win, right? But if somebody's got an edge somehow, because they have access to, somebody's feeding them information on every move you make, they're feeding them 3 possible moves, and you don't know how that information's coming in, that's not fair. Playing poker the same way, There's so many deceptive ways of doing it. Like one guy is here, the other guy's over there touching the cards or whatever. You touch him once, you touch him twice, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you gotta make sure that when you are engaged, right? Even in negotiations. Look at the call we had today. Very interesting phone call. Please don't do this because I can't have you do this, and we haven't even started the deal yet, and they're already limiting us into what we can and cannot do, and the deal hasn't even gotten started. So it's very interesting. This is like you said, fighting fire with fire.
Yeah. You mentioned the surprise. Greene talked a lot about being ambiguous. I think that's the word he used.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he gave the example of that military leader that had put fake planes, remember, in North Africa, I believe?
World War II.
During World War II. His name was Dudley Clark. So he puts dummy tanks and weapons in North Africa. And then what happened is they I guess were surveying it, they were looking at it, they realized, oh, some of these they're dummy planes, they're fake planes because they had these wooden struts underneath the wings. So what this military leader ends up doing, Dudley Clark, and he says, well, why don't we put those wooden struts underneath all of the wings of all of the planes so that the enemy doesn't know which ones are real and which ones aren't. And so what Greene was arguing is that that's actually the best tactic, is like ambiguous. You can't tell what's real or fake anymore. And you mix in a lot of lies with the truth. So you are actually, let's say, using that as a base, but then you make it look as if you're not, or something along those lines. He quoted Churchill that the best truths are covered, I'm butchering the quote, but it has something to do with the best truths are always covered by lies, right? Plenty of lies, something like that.
Well, they fed that to Hitler, where I believe that Hitler was given the information that Normandy was going to be the point of attack. But that information was supplied to Hitler by a undercover or a double or an agent that they thought was a double agent. And so even though that information was true, so much other misinformation was given that it got lost in the entire thing of, you know, of all the information that he got. He couldn't decide what was true and what wasn't.
Right. And since he was paranoid, you know, even though he was right initially, he kind of went against what he thought originally.
Right. So, you know, when they actually landed, he waited way too long to do the counterattack. And by the time that he said, oh, you know what, this is really where the attack is, weeks have passed.
Right.
And so it was just too late. They had actually obtained a beachfront, and they were powerful there, and nobody got them out. So, you know, you have to stay on your toes. And it's all part of it. You know, if you read other books, you'll see that Hitler's health was declining. Okay? He had trouble sleeping. He had a doctor that was kind of like a quack that was injecting him with things or feeding him sedatives and this and that and whatever. So, you know, this was not the Hitler that was at his best when he was 10 years younger or 5 years younger. This is a Hitler that couldn't get enough sleep, that was neurotic, traumatized. What was the other word you used? Paranoid, you know. And so you're not at your best. Yeah. So, you know, it reminds me of some of these MMA fighters where you get hit so much that eventually it takes its toll on you.
Yeah.
One more hit can throw you over the edge, and then you're no longer a viable fighter anymore.
Yeah.
It's a brutal sport, you know? Brutal. So...
Yeah, this strategy, this chapter, this strategy is very, I'm not a big fan of it because it's talking about blending fact with fiction and being deceitful. But I understand how it could be useful. I'm not a big fan because I try to be upfront with people, honest. I try to, you know, my word means something. You know, like your friend earlier, he says, you know, that our ancestors, your friend was saying.
About the truck?
Yeah, he said
that he's selling?
He says, look, our ancestors, when we said something, our word meant something. And the man that says something and doesn't come through on it now has to have their head down next time they walk by you. That's not good.
Okay, now this guy...
lives by a code, right?
Right. He lives by a code, and so his word is as good as gold. It's very difficult to find people like that nowadays. Yeah. It's very difficult. People, you know, swap sweep and change, and you see that unfortunately in politicians all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, they telling you they're voting for one thing, and then once they get into office, the song changes. You see it all the time, and that's with everybody. It doesn't matter what party they belong to, unfortunately. So we're not necessarily led by the best.
With politicians, but also with people.
People all the time.
That, you know, you have some people that, let's say, are exceptions, right? Like your friend, that his word does mean something.
That's right.
In the last strategy, 22, Greene is saying that people are nice. I think it was in 22. People are nice when it is in their best interest to be nice.
Yeah, they want to finish things properly, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, even so today we started a negotiation, right? After a few days of going back and forth, and the clients looking at this property and that and whatever, and we sent a letter of intent, 45 minutes ago. I have a couple aces up my sleeve that I'm not, you know, putting forward in my first set of negotiations. He's got a couple of aces up his sleeve.
Sure. You've both been around.
Yeah. And so, you know, he said something and I countered to it, remember? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, you're going to need this to be able to do this. And he says, no, not necessarily. You know?
But, you know, it's actually nice to observe from the outside as you were talking back and forth with him. Uh-huh. It's kind of like there's a pushback, there's a dance, but it was tactful.
Yeah.
It was cordial.
Yes.
And you're both good.
We're being professional, I think.
You're being professional and you're both good at what you do. You've both been around.
Thank you.
So it's cool to see that negotiation go back and forth. Everybody's trying to do in this case, we're trying to do what's in the best interest of our client. He's trying to do what's in the best interest of his client. But we can come to a mutual agreement.
Well, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the dance. Right. We just submitted the letter of intent. Now, let's see, you know, if he actually takes us to the dance floor and starts dancing with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah. This chapter, yeah, it says blend fact with fiction, okay? Disturb their focus. Make it blurry so they don't see what's coming.
And part of that has to do with appearance. Robert Greene talked a lot about, like, he said, this is a quote from the book, controlling the front you present to the world is the most critical deceptive skill. You present a front that disarms the suspicious. If you present a front to other people like, oh, this guy's really sharp and conniving and careful with this guy, then they're going to be prepared for you. That's the quote at the beginning of this podcast is, guerra avisada no mata soldado. You know what you're getting into. But if you kind of lure me in by making me think you stumble, you're not too sharp, maybe make a couple errors, but it's all in front.
Right.
It's all you being deceptive. It's like, you know, on the stage, you're an actor.
Yeah.
It's very manipulative.
It sure is. You know, he's saying ambiguity is a powerful weapon, right? You just said that. And he says, this was interesting to me because this is I think what made Hitler lose the war, because he says manufacture a reality that matches your opponent's desires.
Yeah.
So Hitler thought that they were going to invade in the Pas de Calais. And they made everything possible to make him think that. And he was thinking, there it is, I'm right. Look at that. Look at this. They're going to invade the Pas de Calais.
To the point that they picked up all of the maps for that territory, that area, and it proved Hitler right. Like, oh yeah, look, all the maps are gone. They're preparing to invade there.
Right.
So we see what we want to see. I thought that was really cool too.
It is, because, you know, sometimes Exactly. We see what we want to see.
Yeah.
And he was telling his generals, look, I'm right.
Yeah.
This is where it's coming.
It was
and then,
confirmation.
Yeah, to a certain, yeah. Yeah. So
But
they
he was
deceived.
wrong.
Yeah,
They played him.
they played him. They played him.
Have you ever been in a situation like that where someone made you think something, where they kind of like played you in,
Oh, yeah.
something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Is
In the
anything-
beginning, when I started, absolutely. I ended up buying into a group where the funds were being used to buy condominiums in Palm Springs. And supposedly everything was going well, and there was a few of us, and we put up cash, and we had bought one, and then we had bought two, and we were going to see the third one. And lo and behold, when we went out there, we actually flew out there. It was very deceptive. Half of the stuff that was said was not true. And this was done by somebody that was in business associated with us. And so they immediately lost all credibility. But what ended up happening is that a lot of people got hurt, including yours truly, And so that was a very valuable lesson in my beginning of my business career, because I trusted somebody to the point that I didn't verify certain things. So someone looking from the outside would say, hey, you know what, Pablo? You had it coming. You deserve it.
What could you have done to
I
prevent?
I could have verified a few things before.
Like who the money was going to, or how it was being invested, or
the way it was being described, it was described as a, let's say, type A property, when in reality it was at best a B minus. The location was provided, but the type of amenities and stuff like that was not so. It was deceitful. And I could have done my job better at verifying. It wasn't a huge economic hit, but at the time I was beginning my business career, so it was still a hit, and essentially we were lied to. We were deceived. We were brought in, but everybody was. I forget, we were 15 or something, like 15 people, maybe 16. And when you get these many people together and you unite some money, and we're talking about 30-something years ago, where prices were very, very low. Nowadays, prices are very high for everything.
Yeah.
And so, but back then, so, I got,
Yeah. Misled, lied to.
And then it happened again shortly after that in another deal. Yeah.
Those are the bruises that make you.
You harden
you
up.
are.
You become callous, and you're a little bit more careful. And then if you're not careful, another thing. Look, folks, I've made so many mistakes. It's not even funny. The other thing that happened to me was that after a couple of those experiences, I became so careful that actually I let a couple of really good deals go by, because they seemed too good to be true, and they ended up being good deals, and I just was in a state of mistrusting. And so all of that took me back to the drawing board, saying, okay, look, what are we going to do here? You're in business, and so what is going to happen here? But you learn, Mike, you learn by jumping in the water, There's
you learn because sometimes you have to go through those things. I feel, especially if you don't have someone helping you. Your parents didn't speak the language, English. They only spoke Spanish, so you didn't know. You had to go through those things.
Yeah. I am a big believer of people getting mentors and looking at their mentors and having their mentors teach them the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
But beware of the mentor that's teaching you something and then wants you to invest in his business. Because that's what happened to me also, and I got burned, you know. You know, so beware
Also-
of the mentor that.
Also beware of the mentor that is capping you. That happened to me.
Right, yeah.
Where they'll teach you up to a certain point, but then you become a threat. And you have to realize when you're at that position where now they see you as a threat or a potential future threat.
Correct.
So they're going to stop the mentorship.
Stop teaching
Now
you.
you could say, well, then that's not a good mentor or whatever. Okay, well, I don't know anyone that's really going to teach you everything, you know, and just eventually make you a competitor. And be okay with that. There are some people, maybe.
I think they're always going to hold back, you know, an ace or two.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They'll teach you some things. But they're, you know, I see it all the time in this internet side hustles kind of thing.
I just want to say real quick, that's my counter to the idea of a mentor, is that
Okay.
it's good,
Fair enough.
and I can see the benefits of a mentor, but I can also see how the benefits of not having one too. You could say, well, there's more. So maybe you just got to know when to fly.
Well, you need to read the laws of human nature, and Robert Greene will teach you how to analyze people. Because, for example, my friend Jay, he had a very good mentor that taught him the business,
Mm-hmm.
and he spoke very highly of that particular person.
Okay.
So that particular person was good to him. So it depends, you know. But I agree with you. Yeah, be careful, because they'll not only cap you, they'll cap you on on teaching you information that's relevant to the next move. Contacts.
Fortunately, I was able to work under several mentors, and you know how like you date somebody and you see, oh, that's not a good, so now you know what's not good. So I had that mentor that wasn't that great, and
Okay.
then another mentor that was better. So I can see, you know, it being important to have
Yeah.
somebody good. You just
Well,
gotta be careful.
I'll tell you what. So you said something very important. So if we're going to give a little bit of advice,
Yeah.
you know, don't marry your mentor. Just date him. Right? Date him and see how they turned out, you know? I'll tell you a really, really good mentor is a book. Something that's written in a book, you know? Because a lot of times people pour their life source of energy into books like Robert Greene,
Yeah, that's a good point.
like Jordan Peterson,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, like Marcus Aurelius, you know,
Yeah.
like Kaufman, you know, all these.
Well, that one's actually by
But the Five Rings.
the Book of the Five Rings. Miyamoto Musashi.
So, you know, when you pick up a book, it could be golden.
Yeah, that's a
And-
good point.
Yeah.
That's a
And the
form-
book's got nothing to gain, because the book is not going to have you invest in a stock or you know, ask you to buy a property here or there or everywhere. So, but you know, the other thing that the chapter was talking about is what exactly is reality, you know? And he says, look, reality is often contradictory. Deception is a weapon that should always be used in war. So he's saying, you know, sometimes the truth is more weird than the fiction, right? Isn't there? There's a saying like that. The truth is, you know, so
stranger
than fiction.
Mm.
And so, you know, they're saying what is actually reality, you know? And he says reality is actually contradictory to, you know, what we perceive, right, as being truthful. So, you know, you just have to try your best, take it one step at a time, and learn. And but there's a lot of cases out there. I hear you. You had a a mentor that, was not necessarily the best, right? One particular one. But you had several.
Yeah.
You've had several,
Yeah.
And you can't be fearful, because what's the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen? Okay? You always need to be careful about the amount of money you are investing. But the worst thing that can happen is that you make a mistake. And hopefully that mistake is going to teach you a great deal of things. And you move forward and continue to learn and get better. And you will get better. Today we have something that is golden that we didn't have when I got started. And that is YouTube. You can go to YouTube and you can get all kinds of information on YouTube. You can analyze a property. It teaches you cap rates. It does if you're in investing, and if you're not and you're into music, it will teach you a million things there too. If you're into science and you do research in chemistry, there's a bunch of chemists on you. So YouTube is tremendous. The other day I went to a classic car show, and some guy was talking about the suspension of a couple of cars there that were amazing. And they made a comment, and the other gentleman said, I'm not quite sure what that is. And then a third guy that was listening, he says, look, go on YouTube and look it up. There's a couple guys in YouTube, I don't remember their names now, but they are brilliant on this area of suspension. So go on. So, that is a great source that we all have at our fingertips. Even me, right now. There are things that I'm trying to learn that are out of my field. And I'm going to YouTube.
Yeah, I think that it's a great tool if you use it like that. It could also be a place where you get lost.
I get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. It's like
YouTube, I don't get distracted so much in YouTube. Very much in Instagram.
Interesting.
Yeah. Instagram is dangerous for me. Anyway.
Beware of the person who's using misdirection, using double agents. Greene talks about these double agents that, when they get caught, they think they're telling the truth because they didn't realize that what they were told was a lie. Things like that. I don't know where in real life I would use something like that. I haven't come across a situation like that, but I'm sure that it applies to real life.
It does, because Robert Greene does a tremendous amount of research, and he says that, unfortunately, the tactics of the dirty war has filtered into society today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people out there that are devious, but you cannot be afraid.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the fear will paralyze you, and then you're not going to do anything, and that's worse. I'd rather go out there and take a chance, get hit, and sit back, recover from the hit, and then go out there again, get hit again. You're gonna, as you climb, you're gonna take some hits. You cannot be afraid of it.
No, you're moving, you're making moves, you're trying.
Right.
You're gonna fall, you get up, but at least you're moving.
You're moving.
There's some people that I know that just seem to be on the sidelines, and I personally don't want to live that way. I personally rather be moving and failing and learning and getting better and keep it on going.
Okay, well, that's you.
That's just, yeah.
Yeah, there are some people that are perfectly fine being on the sideline. They don't want to get into the game.
Yeah.
And they have a very good life. Right now, I forget who said this, but I wanted to say, the man that, I'm going to butcher it, but the Stoics say, it's not the man that Yeah. It's something like the man that wants more is the one that is poor because he's not content with what he
What they have.
potentially has.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm butchering it. I'll get it for the next podcast.
Yeah, something having to do with the poor man is the man that has lots of things, but is not content and continue to want more. The rich man, the wealthy man, is the one that has maybe few things but is happy. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man that's content with what he has is the man that's more fulfilled as opposed to, the guy that wants always something. You can be as wealthy as you possibly can and still want more, want more, want more. That's the true poor guy.
Right.
I don't know how we got into that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't, I don't know. But the point here is you got to keep trying. And yes, Robert Greene says, hey, deviousness has filtered into our society today.
Yeah.
And so, like you said the other day, if you're going into the lion's den, which supposedly we went into today, right? As a figure of speech, right?
Yeah. A room full of sharks.
A room full of
lions.
sharks, or a room full of lions. Then you know what you're getting into. So you're going to be on the alert and ready and,
Right. Because you're prepared.
Right.
However,
you're also a lion by being in that room, right?
you would hope so.
Yeah, because if you're describing...
If not, you're going to get eaten up.
Well, right, so...
But what I'm referring to is that I'm mentally prepared when I go into a room like that. However, the challenge for me is when it's lions with sheep's clothing.
Right.
When I'm in a situation where I don't think this is somebody that's out to get me, trying to do something deceptive towards me, right? And that person actually has other intentions. That's where I think that's the most dangerous, because you're not expecting it, so you're vulnerable as opposed to being alert. And so it goes to show you, maybe you gotta always be alert.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
To a certain extent.
You gotta try, right? We see things maybe that other people don't see, and people see things about us that maybe we don't see.
Yeah.
So you just gotta do the best with the hand that you've been dealt.
Yes.
And continue to move forward.
I agree. And train yourself. I'm training myself to read people and see, hey, look, this guy, you can kind of smell something, he plays dirty. So you got to know that going in. If you're going to go into a negotiation with them, just know, hey, this person has done other deals with people that I know and they haven't gone that smooth, or they pulled a fast one. Okay, read people. There's some people that you and I encounter and we walk out of there and we say, this person's slippery. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. The other day we were being cornered by my brother and sister, like, well, what is it about the person that's slippery? And I don't know exactly what it is, but something about him. So anyways, something about that person.
You would not do business with that person. But your brother and sister might, because they don't have the perception that you have.
Correct. And I may be wrong, but...
You could.
I could be, right? I'm not saying that
No.
But I do think that our gut and our instinct is right. So I'm just going to go with that.
Well, that's perfect. I'm not saying that you're wrong. Go with your gut feeling. I think you should, and I actually agree with that. Okay? But yet, your sister and your brother do not see that necessarily.
Maybe they need to read more Robert Greene.
Or I don't think they've had connection with this particular person as much as you have had.
Yeah.
And so...
That's definitely... I have more data.
Yeah, you have more
data.
Right.
Anything else you'd like to throw in?
No, this is a good chapter.
This was strategy number 23, so there's 10 strategies left. Thank you, everybody, for following along with us and helping us learn as we go and grow.
And grow. Thank you.
Thank you.